with another video. So, returning subscribers, welcome back. New subscribers, welcome to the channel, y'all. So, as you guys can see from the title, this is going to be another story time. This is like my first memory in life, period. Like, I was telling this story to somebody and they were like, you know, most people don't have stories from when they're that young. So I should tell it on my channel. So here we go. So before we do anything, as usual, make sure you have subscribed below. Make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload a video. Yes, join the fam. Get comfortable. Have a drink. And let's get into it. So, as you can see by my glass, this was my mom's glass. This glass is older than me. Well, I believe this is like a goblet. This is older than me, and it says black is beautiful. My dad bought this for my mom before I was ever even born, but it's a little faded or whatever, but I'm still using it. I still got it, and I still love it. Yes. Alright, so as you guys saw from the title, this is my very first memory in life. Like, this is the first story that I remember from start to finish in my whole life. So yeah, I was telling this story to somebody not long ago, and they were like, you know what, that's really cool that you even have a story that you could even tell from that young, because I was 3 years old when this happened. Right? So let's get into this story. Right? Alright, so I'm 3 years old. I was in daycare at the time, right across the street from my building. And my sister would pick me up from daycare every day after school. So this day she came to pick me up. It was different because she didn't have a book bag. She didn't look like she just came from outside, you know? So it was weird. But whatever. I'm 3. Who gives a shit? You know? Like, whatever. So we get back to our apartment and there's some boy in the house. So I'm 3. My sister is like 16. At 16 or 17, I believe, at this time. So there's a boy in the house. She looked like she'd been at home all day and whatever. We get in the house, she give me my little snack. I have my little cheese and crackers or whatever. That was my favorite snack back then. I'm sitting in front of the TV. I'm watching cartoons or whatever. And she in a room with this boy. So eventually this boy leaves. And she's looking around the house, whatever. She's looking around the house, and she's like, Audrey, I need you to help me find this money. So I don't ask any questions because I'm 3. I don't know what questions to ask. I don't have any questions. So I'm just helping her look. So she got me, she pulling out the dresser. She looking behind the dresser for the money. She got me in the closet, like she's shining a flashlight in there. And she got me climbing inside the closet looking for the money, underneath the beds, underneath the dresser. Like, we all over the room looking for this bread. So we couldn't find it. Like, we just couldn't find it. And it was not for lack of trying, because she literally had turned that whole place upside down looking for this money. So, whatever, my mother comes home. Now, again, I'm sitting in front of the TV. My mother came home. I run to her, give her a hug and a kiss or whatever. And my mother goes to get out of her work clothes and to change into regular clothes because she about to go to the supermarket for my grandmother. So I'm sitting in front of TV, I'm watching TV, and my mother comes out of the bathroom and she's like, where's that money? So my sister is like, I don't know. So they're having a whole argument about this money. Apparently this is the money that we was looking for. This was my grandmother's grocery money. And it was $350. And this was back in the 80s. Like, $350 was a lot of money back then. You know, this was her money, her grocery money for the whole month. My mother was about to go shop for her crib for the month. So she's yelling at my sister, where's the money? Like, it was here before I left. The only other person who lived in the house was my dad. And why would he ever steal from my grandmother? If anything, he would be the one to replace the money. If anything, you know? So she's looking at my sister because she's the only one who was in the house with me since this morning when that money went missing. My dad is not even home yet. And he leaves the house before everyone, you know? So we had a police lock on my door because we had gotten robbed previously. So this lock was a lock where, like, there's a contraption on the door, and the bar is a bar, and it sticks into this contraption. They literally had to drill a hole inside the floor, and the bottom of the bar goes inside that hole. So it's like there's no getting into place, like with this when this freaking lock is on. So my mother, though, like, when I tell you it's a metal bar, and it's the bar probably like 4 feet high, solid metal bar, right? So she got this bar on her hand. She's looking at my sister like, listen, I'm gonna hit you with this if you don't tell me where this money is. Because, all right, let me preface this. My sister's a fucking asshole. Like, it just is who she is. She was a menace and a freaking terror on the whole family. I mean, this was a chick who always opted to do the wrong thing. Like, no matter what it was, she always did the wrong thing. She always had my mother out there doing some shit, trying to get her out of some shit. Like, she was a terrible, terrible child. Like, if you met us, like the two of us, you would never believe we grew up in the same home. Like, you would never in your life believe that we were raised by the same mother. Ever in life. Like, that's how horrible she is. But anyway, back then I'm 3. I don't know all this yet, right? I don't know how shitty she is. So I love my sister. I'm always wanting to be up under her. You know how little girls are when they got a big sister. You want to follow them everywhere. You want to do everything they do. You want to be wherever they are. Like, you know, that's how I was with my sister before I realized, yo, this bitch is crazy. Like, it wasn't until I was about 12 when I realized that. But whatever. That's a whole nother story. Now here I'm 3, right? So my mother got this bar in her hand, and she is ready, literally she's ready to hit my sister with it. So I walk over to my mother, my little 3-year-old self, and I look up at her, I'm like, Ma, we've been looking for that money all day. So, you know how when kids are a certain age, they don't know how to lie yet. And I was still at that age. I didn't know how to lie. Like, this wasn't a question that she asked me. I just walked over because I heard what they were talking about, and I knew we had been looking for that money. So I knew that my sister genuinely did not know where it was, or else we wouldn't have been looking for it all day. So she looked at me, and she just stared at me for like a minute. She just looked at me, and I guess she was contemplating whether maybe my sister put me up to saying it, or if I was lying. But it was just so random. Like I said, I was sitting in front of the TV, and I'm just hearing this commotion, and I just walk over, and I'm like, we've been looking for that money all day. Like, just so random, completely out of the blue and unprompted. So she just stared at me, and then she looked at my sister. She was like, you know what? This kid saved you just now, because I know she's not lying. So then my mother is like, all right, so if y'all been looking for the money all day, who you had in the house? That was her next question, because again, like I said, my sister was a bad child. Like, she always had boys in the crib. This wasn't the first one. She always had boys in the crib. So my mother was like, because there was no one else to take it. We lived there. Like, I didn't take it. My sister had me looking for it, so she didn't take it. My dad been out the house since before all of us. So, and he wasn't even home yet, so he didn't take it. My mother just got home from work, so she didn't take it. So someone else had to be here by process of elimination in order for this money to ever be missing. Right? So, my sister finally confessed because she realized she was about to get her whole ass beat in a way that she has never gotten her ass beat before. Like, this was about to be different. This was about to be a whole lot more serious. So she told my mother, you know, that she had a boy in the house. She told my mother who it was or whatever and where he lived. So, she got herself dressed. She put my clothes back on, and we went to that boy's house. She was like, nah, like, I don't have $350 to be replacing, and I need to get this money back. Like, that's it. So we went to the boy's house. So the first time we went to the house, you can hear, she rang the bell and you can hear all this commotion in there or whatever, but nobody opened the door, right? So she had a friend that lived a building over from where this boy lived. So we went to her friend's house. You know, she was telling her friend what happened or whatever. And she, you know, was like, I'm going to sit here for an hour and I'm going back because, like I said, she couldn't replace this money. You know, it was a lot of, in the 80s, $350 was a lot. Like, so she was like, I have to go back. I have to get this money. So we waited for an hour. We went back to the boy's house again. This time his dad answered the door. And if you guys know anything about the 80s and black people in the hood, her father in the crib was a whole anomaly. Like, it was like, what? You have a dad? Like even my dad being in the crib, like, people used to be surprised at this when I was growing up. Like, that I had a father who was in the house for the time that he was there. And he wasn't on crack. And so, the dad answered the door. My mother straight up said to him, like, listen, your kid was in my house today cutting school with my daughter, and I had $350 that's missing, and my daughter was looking for that money for hours and she couldn't find it. We believe your son has that money. I'm not sure what words she used, but to that effect, that's what she said to this man. So, he's like, give me 1 minute. So he closed the door. You can hear him cursing his son out, breaking on his son, flipping on his son. You know, now this was back in the days before now, because you know how nowadays are. Like, if you tell somebody about their kid, you're more likely to have a fight with that parent than it is for that parent to go reprimand their kid. It's like nowadays, you can't even tell someone that their kid is doing something wrong. You know, it's not back in the days where everyone actually cared about your kid, and so they didn't want to see them do bad. So you believe them when they come to you telling you that your kid was doing wrong. It wasn't like that. So, you know, he went in the house. You hear him screaming, yelling, cursing at his son or whatever, breaking. And then the man came back to the door with the money in hand. So it was like success. This actually had a great outcome. Like, the man literally broke on his son until his son gave him the money. He's all apologizing to my mom. You know, I'm so sorry. I didn't raise him this way. Believe me, he will be punished for this. And I believe for sure that he was, because the way that man was cursing that kid out behind that closed door, what? You already know it was a wrap for him once we left, like, for absolute sure. So this is my very first memory in life, like, period. Like, I don't remember anything before this. This is my oldest story that I actually can tell from start to finish. So let's get something started. Like, first memory tag. Yeah, first memory tag. Let's all do it. If you guys have any weird stories about your very first memory, like, even if it's not like a full complete story like mine, it could be the smallest thing. You went to the store or whatever, like, just your first memory and how old you were when it happened. I feel like that's really interesting because a lot of people don't remember from very young. Like, this story, I'm 3 years old when this happened. So if you guys have any stories like this, or if you know someone who does, hit them up. Share this video, because I think that's really interesting to see, like, how young a person was when they started to actually retain their memory and, you know, the stories that they have from those ages and how they viewed the situation. I find that very interesting. So if you liked my first memory, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.